Amani Talks is an idiot, bro. Man, I keep hearing bad. Just and I remember I told you guys she was gonna rise up the ranks. I told you about months ago. I was like, oh, she finna rise up the ranks. You know what I mean? And she always has some interesting men that come on her podcast. You know, that's you know, it is what it is. And I already told you what Amani Talks is. Like she's the perfect representation of the Family Guy joke, right? You know what the Family Guy joke is? A black woman in hindsight, right? When Brian was talking to I think Stewie, I think he's like, you're like a black woman in hindsight. That's Amani Talks. So whatever she says, she always seems to always have the answer after the fact. You know what I mean? But really, if you put her on the kitchen, right? On the you put her feet to the fire, she's not really gonna stand on what she says. Like there's like the people that she's brought on her show, I've been paying attention. The people that she brought on her show, it's like it's very calculated. So I don't even want to hear that. You know, when people start criticizing, you know, Fresh and Fit and the whatever podcast or bringing 304s on the show, and man, now when women be having their podcast, they pick certain they know who to pick. The men that they pick, they know who to pick. They know better than to pick anybody from MGTOW. We already know what happened to Hafiz, dumbass, to a former MGTOW man in Coach Greg Adams, roasted his ass, ran that nigga off the internet. Anyway, let's listen to what she has to say, where she believes that she's gonna say something untrue. But let's take a listen. Oh, sorry, my bad. That's awkward. The volume was off. My bad on that.
Enough to be a parent.
Let's do it one more time.
Men do not fight hard enough to be a parent in their children's lives.
So she said at first, if you didn't catch it, she says black men do not fight hard enough to be in their children's life, which is false. That's first of all, statistically, that's false. I'll say anecdotally, I'll say that's just false. That's false. Anyway, let's continue.
Just a
question. I'm agreeing with you. But just a question though. Why is it
that they have to
these
fight?
Men have to fight? The fact that they have to fight is one thing. The fact that they're not fighting enough is another thing. So both things are correct. So I'm agreeing with you. These men are not fighting enough for their child. That's the thing, right? But why is it that virtually every man has to fight to see their child?
Why are you complaining about a problem that you created for yourself? I don't want to hear it. You created that problem.
Yes.
So now you're like, oh, I have to fight my way out of my own problems. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not all adults?
I agree.
Is life not always what we want it to be?
Yeah.
You'll leave her to fight for herself, but you're like, oh, I ain't gonna fight for my kid. Well, I gotta fight for my kid over a problem that you created yourself. When we could have all just been like, you know what? I'm good on the kids. Let me wrap it up. Let me at least get married first. Let me at least try to do the right thing. Black men do not fight hard enough to be a parent in their children's life.
Now, like I said, Amani, she's an idiot. She's an idiot. She cannot be more than 20 something years old for her to say something like this. Now, unfortunately, with women like this, though, she's gonna have a son, and the son one day, if the laws, because I don't think the laws are gonna ever change, right? I don't even think she'll have. Well, you know, let me give her the benefit of the doubt. Let's say she has a kid in the future. Let me give her the benefit of the doubt, right? She has a son in the future. Son is going to go through the same thing. And what happens when the son goes through, or the man goes through parental alienation, he'll go to the mom for help. And the mom is just going to be like, not knowing what to do because she doesn't care. She clearly doesn't care. Now, I want you to pay attention to her mannerisms, right? When the man brought up, why do we have to fight? It's almost of a mocking tone. She doesn't understand the money that goes into it, into these things, right? So when you even look at just the statistics in and of itself, in terms of fighting, quote unquote, fighting for your kids, if you want to gain some kind of custody on your kids, in terms of I'm talking about just a fight for 50-50 custody, you're going to have to drop at least minimum 20 to 30K in lawyer fees. Now, when we talk about men of certain races, particularly black men, a lot of them do not have 20 to 30K to burn, or willing to go through 20 to 30K in debt just to fight for what should be rightfully what he shouldn't have to fight for 50-50 custody, right? But a lot of men are in that situation when they are involved in the family courts. You'll have lawyers that will literally advise men, look, most of the time you guys are going to lose this case in terms of fighting for primary custody or whatever. So the lawyers will literally say, look, you're going to lose. So I'll advise you not to even spend the money. And the few men, like, so when they talk about, oh, but most of the men that do end up going to Finel, they end up winning it, but they don't tell the full side of it, meaning he had to drop at least 50K, 50 to 100K in lawyer fees to get that kind of, to get primary custody. They don't talk about that. They don't talk about that. You know what I mean? I've always had this belief. And I'm not always, but I've had this belief for a while now. I believe there's no such thing as a deadbeat dad. This is I have no problems in saying this. Like I said, in 2024, there's no such thing as a deadbeat dad. This is not like the 1930s, 1940s. There's no such thing as a deadbeat dad. You just statistically, it's a rare breed to be to be an actual deadbeat. It's a very rare thing to be. At the end of the day, it's 2024. Women choose who they have sex with. There's no arranged marriages, none of that arranged in America. No. Women have full autonomy over their body. They choose who they have sex with. And let's be honest, ladies. It's either you chose the player dude, you knew he had multiple women, or you met him and he had a woman already. And you know this. You knew this. You knew this. It's either you picked that dude or you picked a decent dude, right? He wasn't perfect. He probably wasn't tall. You know what I mean? He wasn't making a whole lot of money. Just average Joe. But he was a decent dude. He wasn't perfect. Trust me, he wasn't perfect. Probably didn't have the best hygiene, all that stuff. But he was a decent dude. But you just broke it off with him because you just looked at him. You're just like, I can't, my future with him, I just can't do it no more. You just didn't believe in his program. It's either it's either A or B on that end. So let's keep it a buck. When we talk about the people that are doing the procreating. And then on top of that, when you even look at the statistics of where they show you that over 50% of black men are single and childless. And it's like 30. I thought it was like 25%, but it says like 30% of black men are married. So you literally have a small percentage of men that are procreating with most of the black women, right? Because you look at from the black women statistics, it's over 80%. I think something crazy. It's either it's like over 85% or over 80% of black women have kids out of wedlock. So now you're doing the math. You're like, whoa. So that means you got that small percentage creating most of the babies in the black community. And on top of that, probably a small percentage of the married men also making outside kids outside the marriage. So that's still a very small percentage of men. So if you have a whole cohort of women talking about, oh, these are all deadbeat dads. No, the question should be, why are you procreating with deadbeats and degenerates? That should be the question. But that's never the question. Nobody ever wants to bring that up. Now, in terms of the dads and whatnot, look, man, I don't think women don't understand the damage they're doing. I'll say for the past 2 to 3 decades, these are the best generations of fathers that America has ever seen. Easily. I'm talking about, it's not even close. These are the best. I'm talking about the most generous, the most giving, financially, physically, all that. But women are ruining them by dragging them through the courts, by making false allegations of abuse on them, and by separating their kids from them. Because unfortunately, we have this thing: if mama's not happy, nobody's happy. This is a terrorist. This is a terrorist type, terroristic. I don't know if that's a word. This is a terrorist type mindset that a lot of women have. And it's ruining families. I'm talking about, it's just ruining the structure. You know what I mean? So this is all the things that go into it. But it's interesting. Like I said, like Amani talk, she's not going to bring MGTOW. She ain't gonna bring nobody like that. She's not gonna bring anybody from the RP space. And if they are gonna bring somebody from the RP space, they're always gonna bring up Pearl because she don't know what the hell she's talking about half the time. She's just repeating our talking points, and they know you can easily catch her up because she doesn't back up none of the things that she say. So they're always gonna bring up Tate. They're gonna bring up and they're gonna bring up Pearl because they know Tate's locked up. and he be in constant trouble with the law. So they're going to use that against them, and then they'll bring Pearlie because they know you can catch her up on her words because she doesn't know what she's talking about half the time. They never call up nobody else. You notice that, right? They don't call up nobody else, but they bring up Tate and Pearlie things. Anyways,
lives.
Just a question.
They
Just
do
a
not.
question. Just a question. I am agreeing with you. I'm agreeing with you. But
now this is the thing. If I'm in that situation, I'm not. I'll first of all, I would just say right in her face, that's a lie. And like I said, you can also easily debunk it. They'd be like, but my dad wasn't there. My dad wasn't there. My mom didn't put him on. Okay, so how did your mom meet your dad? But I'm like, okay, is there a way like, hey, I'll be like, did you talk to your dad how he met your mom? And by that second or third question, they start glitching. By that second and third question, they start glitching. Then a lot of people start realizing they were products of side baby products, or they were products of backseat in a Jeep, products of hookups. And then you'll be like, oh, okay. So yeah, then you'll be like, okay, yeah, the dad's kind of messed up for not taking responsibility, but your mom was fornicating with a degenerate drug dealer. So where does the responsibility go on her end? Because at the end of the day, women fuck who they want. Man can't have sex with who they want. Women have sex with who they want. So with that kind of power comes responsibility and accountability. But we already know when we talk about responsibility and accountability, it's like to talk about responsibility and accountability for women is like asking Arjen Robben to use his right foot. He doesn't really need it to survive. You know what I mean when I say that? Anybody that knows the football player, Arjen Robben, lefty, winger, right winger for many, legendary winger for Netherlands, won a Champions League, won countless league titles. One of the best wingers we've ever seen. Barely uses his right foot. That's women, right? Accountability is their right foot, meaning they don't necessarily need to be accountable for anything in their life to survive. You know what I mean? That's the opposite for men. So that's why I always say it's kind of pointless to even say that, oh, accountability is a woman's weakness, because they don't really need to take accountability.
That's a question, though. Why is it
that they have to
these
fight?
Men have to fight?
So she already dismissing that point, and this is where she kind of snitches on herself and on women. And if you ever hear a woman saying you have to fight or why didn't you fight, she's trolling you. Because right here, when she heard that, when he's about to say, why do we have to fight? She started mocking him, which means she doesn't even hold any weight to that anyway. So whatever man that goes with her in the future, if she starts talking about fighting, oh, he doesn't fight for the kids, she's lying and she's trolling.
The fact that they have to fight is one thing. The fact that they're not fighting enough is another thing. So both things are correct. So I'm agreeing with you. These men are not fighting enough for their child.
No, they don't have the money to. The family court is a racket. So when you see guys that people talk about, oh, they threw in a towel or whatever, they just do. A lot of the times they just don't have the money. They don't have the money to fight for something that he shouldn't have to fight for, which is 50-50 custody. Right. And people be mad at me when I say this. It's the Tommy Sotomayor technique. And Corey Holcomb has said this too, but many men are I'll say many men are afraid to say this, but I'll say it. If the woman you're with, if she's not coming to the table 50-50, and if she's if she's doing all that, and on top of that, if she's asking for child support and she's trying to get the courts involved, I say this: either fight all the way to get full custody, and I mean full custody. And if you can't do that, just wash your hands and just say, look, I'll just pay the child support, and then that's it. Don't do nothing else extra. Because at the end of the day, they're still calling you deadbeats. You see that, like I'm talking about, like you can pay your child support, they still call you a deadbeat. So go all the way. You saw the girl that went viral with her dad saying that he was a deadbeat, and once you peel back the layers of the story, it turns out that the dad left the mom, not the child. He left the mom. They broke up, and the mom was mad at that, and so she started feeding that BS to her child that he's a deadbeat and he didn't want you and blah blah blah. And that backup dancer that went viral, whatever, with his daughter. So, like it that's why I say, if she's trying to put you on child support, whatever, and there's no way, like I'm talking about the lawyers telling you, if you fight for full custody, it's not gonna happen. Just wash your hands of the situation, and just do like 50 Cent. Just don't acknowledge. Just don't acknowledge. because 50 Cent put so much money in that first kid. He did every and he's still on that BS. So he just said, you know what? Fuck it. I'll have another one. All right. That's the attitude I want men to have, honestly, because I feel bad because the men today, they want to be fathers, even though you got women like Amani acting like men don't want to be fathers. That's just simply not true. They just don't want. Corey Holcomb had a joke. He said when you go to the abortion clinic, he said you should have the option to abort the woman or the kid. Yeah. That's one of the funniest jokes, but very telling. And let's keep it real. If they really had something like that, you could abort the bitch or the child. It'll be a lot of you ladies that they probably don't even know. A lot of you ladies would have been on the chopping block. Let's keep it a buck. I'm talking about you force a man, get rid of the bitch or the child. It's gonna be a lot of men walking out with their kids. That would be a what's a wake up to reality right there in terms of your importance. You know what I mean?
That's the thing, right? But why is it that virtually every man has to fight to see their child?
Why?
And look how she doesn't answer the question.
Why are you complaining about a problem that you created for yourself? I don't want to hear it. You created that problem.
Yes.
So now you're like,
that's actually not true. Like I say, women have full autonomy on their bodies. Technically, you created the problem. You created the situation because you knew that you had the backup of the courts. You got the police on your side. You have the system on your side. If the man you're stealing money from gets out of line and doesn't obey you, especially if he decides to really move on with his life. This is what happens. Like usually, this is why Corey Holcomb says you have to continuously be sleeping with your baby mother. The reason why he says that is because he's just trying to tell you, if you're not in good standings with your baby mother, she's going to separate your influence. You're not going to be able to have a say over what happens with your kid. That's why he says this. That basically means more parental alienation tactics, more tactics of the mom's going to be talking crazy about you to your kid. This is what happens.
Oh, I have to fight my way out of my own problems. Oh, I'm sorry. Are we not all adults?
I agree.
Is life not always what we want it to be?
Yeah.
You'll leave her to fight for herself, but you're like, oh, I ain't gonna fight for my kid. Why I gotta fight for my kid? Over a problem that you created yourself.
It's not about necessarily just because we already know how the family courts work. So the money that you end up using to fight for your kid could have been used to go to your kid in the first place. This is the problem. This is the problem. You know what I mean?
When we could have all just been like, you know what? I'm good on the kids. Let me wrap it up. Let me at least get married first. Let me at least try to do the right thing. Black.
What do you think was happening in the divorce courts? You dumb bitch. Like she just clearly she's never read first of all, I don't think she cares what happens to men that go through divorce, the men that are going through great divorces right now. But that's very typical of her ilk.